Good afternoon, everyone. I hope you're all well. What if I were to tell you that I believe the entire credit score, credit reference agency industry is a scam? It is a scam in collusion with the banks to keep you enslaved in debt, to keep you in a position where they can charge you more for credit, and to discourage you from literally drawing down on your debt and paying things off, because that would be catastrophic for the banking industry and all of their fake leveraged money that they just create out of thin air so that they can dictate to you throughout your entire lives. It is my belief that owning a home is a fundamental right. And the fact that in modern Britain, one of the largest economies in the world, in the modern day, that this has become harder than ever, that's an indictment against our entire society as well as our government. There are people within our society who are just as much to blame. There are people out there who are sitting pretty because they bought in the 80s and they are mortgage free, and when they owed £11,500 back in the late 80s and interest rates went to 14%, that they survived. So now you should easily be able to survive on 6%, even though on average you probably owe £250,000 and upwards. I also believe that credit scores should have no place in actual funding of buying a house with mortgages, because it is simply an excuse for them to charge you a higher rate. And there is no reason for that, because the evidence suggests nobody, no matter who they are, will intentionally default on a mortgage on their own home knowing they will lose that home. Nobody does that unless they have absolutely no other choice, or life dictates to them and there's absolutely nothing that they can do about it. It is my belief that where the deposit is lower than 10 or 15%, meaning perhaps a slightly higher risk to the lender, and I will say slightly, but I'll get back to that in a minute, that there should be a mandatory capped indemnity insurance to cover the lenders for that potential loss should the worst happen. But how often does the worst happen? The current rates of repossession are 1.5 per 1,000 mortgages. I think that we could find a way to ensure that any losses from this minuscule number would be covered. And I really don't think that that tiny number justifies the amount of people who are trapped in variable rates or on deals that are 1 or 2 or 3% higher than they need to be, because you are at the mercy of your damned credit score. Now, because we are at the mercy of our credit scores, we're encouraged to make an account with Equifax and Experian and check our credit scores. And what do these lovely companies do to help us to increase our score? Yes, take out a credit card, take out a loan, take out this credit builder credit card, and your credit rating will increase, because you need to be enslaved in debt. And God forbid you should be in the position to pay off your mortgage, pay off any loans and cards. You don't owe a penny, you don't pay anything by direct debit. When your bill comes, you just pay it. That's it. You could have a 5 or 6 or 7 figure sum in the bank, but within weeks or months, your credit score would plummet, because that's your punishment for leaving the membership of indebted and enslaved people. Bearing in mind that who decides your credit score? What figures, statistics do we have on the algorithm that just changes people's credit score randomly to suit them? If they think that their algorithm decides that by dropping your credit score by a few points, it might just give you a nudge to take out a particular card, that's what they'll do. Who's to say that they don't? I accuse them of doing that maliciously and with premeditation in order to encourage more debt. But it gets worse. In every industry, we have the right, the opportunity, and quite rightly so, to look for the best deal. We are encouraged to do so. And although that may appear to be the case with mortgages and loans, etc., is it really? How many of you have applied for a loan or a mortgage, paid your fee, completed your forms, only to be told 2 or 3 weeks later that because your great aunt Nellie didn't pay the milkman 4 years ago, you can't actually have this offer that you applied for, but they can offer you something different, which is 1 or 2 or 3% higher. It is a scam. It is, in actual fact, if it is viewed from this point of view where I am standing, it is actually anti-competitive and illegal, and it is the only industry where you are penalised for shopping around, because trust me, if you apply for 3 loans or 3 mortgages on the trot, you will be punished. Your credit file will go through the floor because, oh, it's to do with fraud, it's to do with protecting identity theft and so on. Bullshit. They don't want you to be able to shop around. They want you captive so that they can exploit you and make money from literally this leveraged debt which they just created out of thin air to enslave you to paying interest on something that doesn't exist. It's a figment of their computer's imagination, and you are enslaved to it for life. And as I've said, I believe that a credit score for the application of a mortgage should be illegal. Everyone has a right to a mortgage, and I know you'll probably cane me for this. That's fine, I'm prepared to take that, because I believe that it is all just a scam. And as I said, 1.5 properties per 1,000 mortgages are repossessed. Who would really wantonly not pay their mortgage if by choice, unless life somehow threw something catastrophic at them, like inflation, like high interest rates going through the roof out the blue, which should also not be allowed, not against your mortgage property. But you know that already because I've already said so. Anyway, I'd love to hear your thoughts about this. I'm sure that there'll be many of you who probably will disagree, and that's fine. In the meantime, let's hope they don't close my bank accounts, eh? Anyway, that's all for now. I'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye. Thank you very much.